It's Tristy, week 7. The topic I chose to look into was the Hawaii Territorial Guard. I chose this topic because I honestly don't know much about it. I just know it went into effect after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. So I actually Googled it. I just put in, what was the Hawaii Territorial Guard, and I pulled up a site. It's the Densho Encyclopedia. So it's a really short article that it gave me. But basically, the attack on Pearl Harbor was December 7th. After that, our governor at the time, Joseph Poindexter, ordered, a territorial guard to go into force. So what they did was they pulled a lot of students from colleges or high schools, and the first day I think they had about maybe 35 officers and 370 men, this article says. By the second day, they had 89 officers and 1,254 men on guard at 150 posts. So their main duties were to guard, the important civilian locations. So the governor's residence, bridges, stations, like pumping stations, and then they actually use, which I didn't know, which is pretty interesting, they use the high schools like Punahou High School and Farrington High School as emergency hospitals. They also had, here in Hawaii, they had people stationed at the courthouses, the hospitals. Again, they patrolled them. And it was pretty interesting that I read, one of the guards' responsibilities was to oversee the eviction of Japanese Americans from 30 areas considered military sensitive. So basically, the plantation boy in the book, you can see that the mainland people, when they were coming down to recruit, they thought that, they were kind of wary about having the Japanese people, aiding them in this war because they're fighting against Japan. So the fear of having Japanese, Japanese people in the war for them, I guess it kind of frightened them. People were worried because we're getting bombed by Japanese people and we have Japanese people fighting for us. It was a big thing. So in the book it says, like, after I believe 6 weeks, right, when they put in a territorial guard, 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden it was gone. They just kind of dismissed them basically with no explanation. And it talks about that here because the people in Hawaii, I guess, were so fearful of having these Japanese American people fighting in the wars or guarding them, that they actually kind of just excused them without a warning. And then it says January 21st, 1942, Colonel Thomas Green, he was an aide to the General Dilo Emmons. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But they basically washed out the territorial guard, said they didn't need it. And they just kept one Japanese guy on to basically type out all the discharge papers for his colleagues, which is pretty crazy, I think. But either way, all the men, all these Japanese American people that were discharged or let go, I think about a year later, they were inactivated, I guess, from their duties so that they could be volunteers for the army. And a lot of them became members of that 44nd Regimental Combat Team that it's also talked about in the book. I thought this article or this topic is helpful, again, because I didn't know much about it. And I feel like it's a big part of our history for Hawaii when we got bombed for Pearl Harbor, and just the controversy with the Japanese American people here and fighting in the war. It's a really great eye-opener to see the side of the Japanese people. When Toshi's writing this book, you get to really see their point of view on things, and it's pretty harsh, I think, how they were treated. You can't help where you're from or your nationality, and I feel like they were here as U.S. citizens to help us, and they were treated pretty badly. I think going forward in this book, it's going to get more interesting as he talks about it. I'm almost to chapter 7 right now. I haven't really finished the reading, so I'm getting there. Another thing they talked about they mentioned in this book is the word Nisei, which I've been reading this book and I don't know what that means. So in this article, it actually gave an explanation for Nisei, which means basically second generation of the Japanese people that came here to Hawaii. That they're, U.S. citizens, they speak English in the home. So that was a pretty good part of the article, I thought, too. Gets me more familiar with the words I'm reading. So that's about it. That's all the information I found so far on the Territorial Guard. And see you guys next week. Thanks.